Hello and welcome back to SIGMECH. I'm Edmund. This video is an introduction to and a step-by-step demonstration of the all-new version 2 of the SIGMECH P320 MSAFE-T toolkit. I'm going to discuss what upgrades were done, how to install it, and even do a live demonstration of the grip modification process. That being said, this video will mainly focus on the new design of the grip cutting template since the FCU design has not seen any physical changes in version 2. Although I have made a substantial upgrade to the material it's made from in order to increase your ability to reuse the kit several times over, which is great news for the 80%ers out there. However, if you're looking to see the step-by-step process of installing and cutting the FCU frame, this is not the video for that, and I will link the correct video to watch in the video description below. Now, for the uninitiated, not too long ago I introduced a project called the SIGMECH P320 MSAFE-T toolkit, which is a complete toolkit that allows owners to convert a previously non-manual safety P320 FCU and grip module into a fully functional manual safety capable FCU that uses the original factory manual safety components in the final build. Now, when I introduced the MSAFE-T project, I expected it to serve a small subset of P320 users that simply just preferred a manual safety build. And what I ended up finding is that in the SIG community, basically everyone loves having the modular option to swap back and forth between manual safety and non-manual safety without having to go out and buy an M17 or M18 version of the P320. And surprisingly, the MSAFE-T sold out several times over since then. However, although this community liked this tool, there was one main issue with the design, and that was that the original MSAFE-T toolkit was primarily made for the X series grip profile. And as you can see here, the design of the original grip cutting tool is so that the rear and lower profile conform to the modeled curvature of the X series grip. However, when we try to transfer this same template to the classic or standard series grip, the design doesn't fit due to the small plastic protrusion beneath the slide catch lever cutout here. And so of course, this being SIGMECH, I began to develop and test designs that without having to manufacture two different templates, users would be able to use the same toolkit on both the X series and the standard series grip modules. And so today I'm happy to unveil the SIGMECH MSAFE-T toolkit version 2 for the P320. Now, having the opportunity to redesign the original MSAFE-T kit gave me the opportunity to not just make the new kit functional with multiple grip types, but also make some design considerations that can improve end user convenience, as well as make material changes that, even though nobody asked for them, will make the kit more useful or more robust and therefore perform even better and for a much longer time. Now, before I jump into the details about the new changes, I want to note that if you want to skip right to the step-by-step installation, or if you want to jump right to the cutting and modification portion of this video, you can go to the video description and select from the chapters in the timestamps there. Let's begin. Alright, so let's talk about what's changed from the original MSAFE-T to the new version 2. And the biggest change, of course, is the way the version 2 MSAFE-T is machined so that it works with both the X series and the standard series grips. So over here you have the original grip cutting jig, and it had these flat interior panels on the plates versus the new version 2, which have these additional recessed pockets CNC'd into them that, when put together, will fit over and cover the protruding plastic sides of the standard grip module. This new design, of course, does not change the original concept, and therefore the same grip cutting template can be transferred from the standard grip module and onto the X series grip module. So two grip types with a single template set. That being said, this opens up the doors for using the MSAFE-T kit on other grips as well. Originally, this was the TXG, the X series compact, carry, and full-size grips. And basically any grip that had a side profile that was either flat, for example the X10 here, or shaped like the X series grip with this complex molding design at the rear here. Now, the version 2 of the MSAFE-T follows the same principles, as it will of course work with basically any grip that has the additional protrusion coming off the side of the module. Now, I will note that the MSAFE-T kit was designed and tested with factory grips only, but I have received many emails and pictures from the SIG community of you guys successfully modifying aftermarket grips. So I feel that with the new version 2 design, you will probably have many more options to work from with your custom builds. Next, let's take a look at some of the design changes I made to the version 2's engineering, which, if I'm being completely honest, I did mainly because I could and I saw the opportunity to do this, not because it was really needed. However, you know that I am the type of person that needs to tinker, test, and refine, which is why SIGMECH exists in many ways. In any case, the most prominent change is that the version 2 MSAFE-T toolkit is now made out of machined S7 tool steel. Now, without getting too technical, the S7 material is popular in tool and die manufacturing, and I selected the specialty steel mainly for its impact resistance. Essentially, I wanted to make sure that as you were making your cuts, whether it be on the FCU or the grip module, if your cutting tool makes contact with the metal surface of the template will resist deformation long enough to finish the job. Now, in the case of the new version 2 kit, the S7 tool steel is also heat treated as well as chrome plated. And this means that not only are you using a super high quality, naturally impact resistant steel, but it's also been hardened for additional durability, and then furthermore coated in order to once again increase durability, but also help prevent the teeth from the cutter from having something to dig into when it touches the plates. This all translates to a toolkit that will last longer under the knife, so to speak, and allow for a little bit more forgiveness to the user while cutting, and consequently lets you reuse the kit more times than the original. So you can modify more FCUs or share the kit with your friends. Moving on, the version 2 MSAFE-T kit has also received an updated profile. And if you look at the rear here, you see that the version 2 now has these chamfered edges here. And I added this to help the plates better align with or press up against the grip module. Now, this wasn't exactly a necessary change, but when the original MSAFE-T plates were installed on the X series grip, due to how the polymer can flex, there was a potential for the radius of the curve right over here to touch the inside edge of the plate, which would flex the plate up. Now, when you are cutting, I recommend that you hold down the plates so it's not really noticeable, but either way, I added this new profile so that the plates will always clear the radius of the polymer grip and sit just a fraction of a bit tighter to the grip itself. Now, I also made another slight change to the profile of the grip cutting templates that I think are a benefit to the user. And so here at the bottom of the templates, the legs that extend down the side of the grip module are now ever so slightly longer than the original grip template. And doing this makes the template sit just a little bit closer to the curves of the polymer grip module. And in addition to that profile change, I also added a slight bit more thickness to the overall width of the plates, making them a little thicker when you connect the two plates together. And I mentioned these two slight profile changes because they do add to a substantial benefit to you as the end user, mainly because the dimensional additions now make what used to be the thinnest part of the MSAFE-T grip template much more robust in the version 2. And what that means is that as you are cutting past this rounded bottom edge of the template, you don't have to necessarily worry about accidentally deforming the template due to the cutting tool catching the thin steel edge here, or possibly cutting through it altogether if you're holding the cutting bit there too long. Now, the polymer grip being so soft compared to the tungsten cutter means that this isn't really a problem to begin with because it's super easy to control the cutting tool when working on the grip module. However, even if this consideration helps just a few of you avoid problems, and to have a better experience while working, then it's well worth the effort in my opinion. Okay, so we've gone over the upgrades and changes to the version 2 MSAFE-T kit, so now let's get into the installation and subsequent cutting process. Now, just a reminder that insofar as physical changes go to the version 2 of the MSAFE-T kit, there are no changes to the FCU cutting jig other than now that it's made out of hardened S7 tool steel. So I won't be showing you how to install and cut the FCU in this video because that's all covered in great detail if you click the link in the video description below. However, due to all the changes in the grip cutting jig, I will show you the step-by-step installation and cutting process for using the new features of the version 2 MSAFE-T kit on a classic or standard grip. Now, if you are looking to see how to use the template on an X series, I once again will guide you to the link in the video description, where in that video I demonstrate the cutting process on a TXG and Polymer X series grip. All right, so that being said, let's take a look at what's in the MSAFE-T toolkit and start installing it onto your standard grip module. When you receive the MSAFE-T toolkit, the first thing you'll probably notice is the card insert. And just to make things easier, I have printed a QR code right here on the card that once you scan it will direct you to the SIGMECH video, where I show you the full detail installation and modification process, including all the preparations, tools, parts, installation, and troubleshooting techniques you might need to know to help you complete the project successfully. Next, inside the MSAFE-T toolkit, you will receive 2 bags. The first one contains the FCU templates, in which you will have the front and back templates, plus 2 different size screws, 2 corresponding nuts to those screws, and 2 Allen keys that match the respective hex head sizes. Now, I'll put these aside for the rest of the video because the main focus of the video is the second bag, which contains the version 2 of the grip module conversion templates. And in this package, you will find the left and right templates, 2 same size screws and corresponding nuts, and a single Allen key that fits these 2 screw heads. And lastly, in the bag, you'll find a plastic cutter with your tungsten cutting bits, which of course you will use to make the cutout into your grip module. All right, so we know what's in the kit, so now let's go over what tools you need to have in order to make this modification. And when cutting the grip module, you really only need a Dremel or other rotary tool that accepts 3mm shank bits, and this is important because the cutters in the MSAFE-T toolkit are designed with 3mm shanks. Now, optionally, if you have some masking tape or electrical tape on hand, I can show you a little trick to make the cutting process just a little bit easier. All right, so we've confirmed that we have all the parts in the kit and that we have our tools. So now let's start the install process. First, grab the grip cutting template bag and just check that you have all the parts inside. And before we build them, let's take a note of this small squared profile machined onto the template here. And I call this the internal key. And this is important to note because the key is what sits inside the slide catch notches on the grip module. And what this key does is, when it's fitted into the slide catch notches, it identifies the exact location where you are to cut your manual safety cutout. So just make a mental note of this as we move on, as this will come back into play shortly. Now, take the left and right templates and put them together so that the holes for the screws line up, and insert the first screw and then thread the first nut. But only just start it. Don't tighten it all the way because you will need it loose for when we fit it onto the grip module. Then take the second screw and do the same thing. Only just starting the thread, but not tightening it up. All right, so now I'm going to show you an optional step. If you have some masking tape or electrical tape on hand, you can always cut a small strip of the tape and place it between the slide catch notch and the area where we're about to start cutting. Now, if you look closely, most grips will have this cutout shape marking molded into the grip. Sometimes you just have to look under the right lighting conditions to see it, but you just want to place the tape so that it's not covering either of these 2 critical areas. And what this does is it will provide the template a slight amount of extra tightness around the grip module, and I'll get more into that in just a second. Okay, so let's install the templates to the grip. To do that, just take the assembly and at a 45-degree angle, just feed the templates over the raised polymer shelf on the grip. And as you insert it, just drop the rear side of the assembly flat on the rails of the grip module. And what you want to feel for here is that positive feeling of the internal key that we talked about earlier falling in place of the slide catch notch. And so once you've done that, you can go ahead and hold the template in place as you use an Allen key to thread the rest of the nut. And you can do this by just placing your finger over the nut to hold it while turning the Allen key. On that note, the templates are not made to clamp down onto the grip module tightly. And this is done on purpose because I didn't want users to accidentally crank the screws down to the point that the grip module might crack or be left with marks due to the over tightening. Also, I want you to remember that while you work, you want to retain or hold down the templates manually, even if you feel like the templates are firmly in place already. And this is because, as I mentioned, they're not designed to grip, they are designed to guide you as you cut. So don't overly rely on the templates not shifting while you work. And so as you can see, I also did design the templates with plenty of surface area to hold on to, so you can adjust your grip on the templates as you work. In any case, now that you have successfully installed the templates, let's get into the cutting portion of this video. Okay, so a few things to note before we start cutting, and I just want to reiterate that the video you're watching right now is going to show you the install and cutting process, and I'm going to try to pack as much information here as I can to give subscribers a clear idea of what to expect while doing this work. But this video is not the most detailed version of this process. I'm essentially making this video for those visual learners that would prefer to see the install and cutting happening directly onto the standard grip module that they already own. And therefore, your main reference should be the linked video I have put in the video description below. Even though that video will show me cutting an X series grip, the cutting process will ultimately be exactly the same as what you're about to see here. And second, for those subscribers that might be nervous about doing this job, you sincerely should not worry, because you will find this to be extremely easy. Just remember that this isn't a new modification. The act of cutting grips so that you can use it on a manual safety P320 is very old and has been done time and time again by many people in the SIG community. Just make sure that you take your time, you don't rush this, and try to get a feel for how the cutter will react when touching the polymer, and then you will find that once you start, you will quickly gain confidence on doing this job. Also, before you cut, remember that the only part of the cutter that cuts is the sides of the cutter. The cutter will not work well as a drill, and although it will go through the polymer grip very easily, the actual cutting happens on the sides of the cutters. That being said, make your first cut straight through the polymer grip at a 45-degree angle, just to make it through to the other side. But afterwards, make sure to keep the cutter completely level as you cut, and you want the cutter to basically always be 180 degrees flat and always passing straight through the grip module. Lastly, remember that the templates provide you a limited amount of contact time with the cutter. So you can definitely touch the plates with the cutter, and they're not just going to cut straight through, though you don't necessarily want them to remain in contact with the templates for too long, because too much contact time, like any other metal, will eventually start cutting into the templates themselves. If you do this right, the templates will barely have a scratch on them. Mind you, the templates are also chrome plated, which does decrease the friction of the cutter, and that will help you here as well. Okay, so that's pretty much all you need to know, so let's start cutting the grip. My preference is to first make a rough cut that will remove a large portion of the center of the cutout before making the finishing cuts around the perimeter. Now, this will also be loud, so I won't talk during the process, and I will likely also speed up the video post-production, because this is the type of job where you want to take your time and get it right. Okay, so the cutout is complete, so let's remove the template And as you can see, we need to deburr the edges of the cuts here a bit. And a good way to do this is to take the other cutting bit in the kit and manually scrape off the edges of the cutout with the cutter's teeth, which does an excellent job at removing these small burrs and flakes. Okay, so that looks good. So let's do a quick test fit and check that the manual safety FCU seats well in the newly cut grip. And it does. Now, if it does not, there is a chance that the manual safety levers are touching the bottom radius of the cutout here. So you might want to ever so slightly remove a little more plastic from the bottom. And I do have a troubleshooting section that you can watch if you jump over to the original video of the MSAFE-T conversion process, where I provide more guidance on how to do that if you run into this. I also show you a trick for those of you who don't want to have to reassemble the entire FCU to just do a test fit on the grip. So make sure to go check that out. Okay, so the FCU fits perfectly and we can see that the levers rotate freely. So I would say that this project is successful and we can now reassemble the rest of the P320. And we can now do a final function check. So with the safety off, I can pull the trigger and the striker releases. And with the safety on, I cannot pull the trigger and the P320 is rendered safe. All right, so that is the start to finish process of installing and modifying your P320 using the version 2 of the MSAFE-T toolkit on a standard P320 grip module. If you're interested in picking up one of these version 2 kits, you can find them at the SIGMECH web store along with new product and project announcements. And also thanks to you guys, you can now find them at some of your favorite online retailers as well. That being said, I have been quietly working on some projects here at SIGMECH. Some of the more complex stuff will be announced soon, but in the near future, you will also be able to find a whole line of SIGMECH parts and tools. Some of these parts are designed and manufactured by me to be fully machined, so not MIM, super high quality OEM type drop-in parts that I have purposefully over-engineered to be far superior than factory components, which means better materials and lifetime warranties. But also due to my control over manufacturing, these parts aim to be priced the same, if not better than factory prices. And I suspect that prices will drop further as production runs increase. So that being said, keep an eye out for the new line of SIGMECH over-engineered parts. And I'm aware that I'm not the best at making cool names for things, but I felt that the name of this product line at least tells you exactly what you can expect from SIGMECH. In any case, thank you to those subscribers who continuously support SIGMECH, with a special thanks to those of you who like these videos and those of you who share these videos on forums with your friends. I really like seeing how the content is being used for education, especially to newer members of the SIG community. And I feel like that has been the driving factor as to why this channel keeps growing so quickly. All right, that's all I have for you today. See you soon.